Yes, I was trying to remember how I got into this webinar, and I think that was on LinkedIn. Yes.
Yes, I pretty sure you received a message from me and we were chatting for a bit. But it's
Yep.
great having you. Welcome
So
also,
thanks for
William.
inviting. Yep.
Thank you.
Happy to dive into you guys' questions. So I am Kiera. I know Sherry knows me. I'm Kiera, and I have two other team members on the call. So you guys introduce yourselves as well.
Hey, Sherry. Hey, William.
Hello.
So I'm Kelly. William, I spoke briefly to you, I think. Well, I was speaking to two Williams today, so I think it's one of the Williams. Oh, my phone has just started to talk to me there. So I'm VP of People at Startup ROI and founder of Empire Headhunters, which is a tech talent division specialized on startup talent. So I'll just make this as brief as possible because this is about you guys, not us.
Nice. And I'm Cheryl. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for being here. And I head up sales for Startup ROI. We're looking forward to diving into your questions and see how we can support.
Yes, and I didn't even say who I am, but I am Sierra, and I'm the co-founder of Startup ROI. And I can dive into quite a few things. I also own a web agency. I also own a SaaS startup. So I am here to help you guys. So we're going to try to cover everyone's questions, and definitely when we get to you, we'd like to hear more detail about what you guys are up to and why these questions have come about. That'll help us be able to give you guys as much information as we can. So the first person that we have, because you actually submitted quite a couple of weeks ago, is Sherry.
Oh.
So Sherry, yeah.
I don't even remember submitting questions. Okay.
Uh-oh. Well, if you have new questions, you can feel free to tell us those also. But it looks like you submitted 3 questions, so we have 3 categories. But before we even dive into those, how about you just tell us what you do and what you've got going on?
So the Collaborative is a managed services provider that curates a network of professional services companies that support health sciences throughout the product lifecycle under one diverse supplier MSA. So basically, I go around getting a bunch of client MSAs, master services agreements, from all, pharma, biotech, med device, and anything in health sciences, companies in health sciences. And then my members, which are now approaching 50, can then access the MSAs to pitch their services to clients. And then I get, because it's my MSA, which is a diverse supplier MSA, the client is getting spend that counts toward the diverse supplier spend requirements. And then when we invoice the client, because it's our MSA, so we do the invoicing, we take a percentage of the total project engagement cost for the collaborative, and that's our revenue model. So that's how we're getting revenue. The members don't pay anything to join, and anyone can join, any member. Well, small independently owned, not anyone, small independently owned companies who wish to be members can join at no charge, and then they just commit to anything that they're contracting under our MSAs. They pay this fee. That's it. That's our business model.
Well, I like it. I like it. I like how you guys you're community-based, community-driven, and the revenue is coming on the back end, so the community can feel free, no friction, join as much as they like. I love that.
Right. It's a pretty frictionless model. And so what we just recently discovered, and probably prompted my interest in hearing more about what you guys are doing, I guess, is we've recently identified a need from clients for solutions for supplier consolidation and tail spend aggregation. which was a word that I had never heard before in my career, but
Don't you love that?
apparently it's when, do you know what it is? Or I can tell you real fast what it is.
Nope. Tell me. Tell me
T-A-I-L,
meaning.
T-A-I-L, tail. Apparently what's happening is in these companies, like these big pharma companies, the business partners are just hiring whatever company they feel like, and these small teeny little companies, and they're just tacking them on, like pin the tail on the donkey, I think it means, to an existing contract or MSA that they have. And procurement has no visibility into all these tails. So they
Mhm.
can't track, is the supplier compliant? Does it meet necessary requirements? And more importantly, they can't track if it's diverse spend. They can't track diverse spend. So one client told me they found $6 million in tail spend that they didn't know about.
Wow.
So $6 million in diverse tail spend, meaning that's $6 million they could count toward their diverse spend requirement that they aren't tracking. So this is
Wow.
such a big deal, which I had no idea how big a deal this was. So all of a sudden I started talking about to prospective clients, oh, we can do supplier consolidation, we can do tail spend aggregation. And then they started saying, well, we love that idea, but what are you going to do if we send you 100 suppliers, like all at once from one company? So I'm like, oh my God. So of course I said, no problem. We'll just onboard them and you can access them under our MSA. Fine. But then that's when the light bulb went off saying, I'm going to have to automate, because everything we're doing is manual right now. Nothing is automated. So I just literally today had a call with possible technology partners to start building a platform, a marketplace platform to automate everything, all of our processes, our member acquisition, member onboarding, client function, our administrative functions, everything. Nothing is automated. The only automated thing we have is a website that was just like a shoestring website that's not very sophisticated. And every time I have to update it with another bunch of 14 or 15 members, they have to do it manually. So all this is getting automated. So that's going to cost money. So I was sort of thinking you guys had some, I don't know, maybe this isn't what you do. If you had, funding sources, or I do have partners who are providing funding support, financial support. But I didn't know if there were other sources I should be looking at to fund this tech build. That's sort of my main, I forget what my questions are. So if you can remind me of my questions, I can elaborate on those.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely read again what you submitted, but before I do that, I mean, first off, I love the lean growth that you guys experienced. No automation. A lot of people go backwards. They try to build this robust product, no traction yet, and then
Before they
have
go
a
to
different
market.
problem. Yeah.
I am solidly in market. I am in the market. Not just going to market. I am there. I'm in the market. So yeah,
Beautiful.
I know. This is
Yeah.
one of my referrals to a possible tech partner was from a woman who spent probably a year and a half or possibly longer building her MVP. And then she went to.
Uh-oh. Looks like you broke up a little bit.
I think she's just
Okay.
frozen.
Uh-oh.
She may come back.
Just give her a sec.
Yeah.
Come on back, Sherry. This is good stuff.
I know. This is amazing.
Yeah.
She brought me up oh, there we go.
I somehow lost you. That's weird.
There you
Okay.
are.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so 10 MSAs approaching 50 members. And if this consolidation and aggregation thing takes off, we could be looking at thousands of members, thousands. And I'm not
Wow.
stopping at 10 MSAs. I mean, we have a ton in negotiation where, I mean, we could have hundreds of MSAs too. So hundreds of MSAs, thousands of members. This is no longer a manual operation at all.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So number one, so you said that you were speaking to some you're considering outsourcing this, the technical build or the automation, right?
Oh, we're definitely outsourcing it. Yeah, first of all, I have no employees. I'm the only employee. I'm not really an employee, I'm the owner. So yeah, there's no employees, nor am I hiring any employees. And I'm certainly not getting an IT company, so no, or IT employees. So yes, we're looking for a technology partner who will also provide ongoing maintenance and administration.
Okay. Is it, so just, this is a question I'm posing to you. Would it be better for you cash flow wise to have a technical co-founder, someone who's always with you and is being the kind of technical side of things for automation? Or does that sound like too much of a headache and you prefer to have an outsourced partner that can just take that load?
Yeah,
and focus on- Yeah.
I have two partners. I have the majority ownership interest and they have the secondary ownership interest, and there's no available equity to spare for any other. We're not taking on any more partners. That's definitely not of interest. And the as far as the technical support, I have engaged a longtime industry colleague of mine, and she's sort of getting everything organized. She's going to be overseeing the tech build, working with the chosen vendor and all of that. So that's in place already. That's in place.
Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, this is very interesting for me to dive into. So there's a few ways for us to help. It doesn't sound like you have so you guys are experiencing growth. Doesn't sound like you have a concern when it comes to growth and looking for funding for growth purposes, or is
No,
really
no.
no. It's more so that development build that you're needing
Yeah,
the funding.
we need to fund the tech build. So I was just looking if there were any other options other than my partner's putting up a whole bunch more cash or taking it out of the revenue that we've only begun to generate, to reinvest in the tech build, which obviously is an option. But, I'd also like maybe taking not a salary, but some distribution soon after all this work with nothing. So
Because you were the only employee, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not really an
Yeah.
employee. I'm the owner. So, we're just
get it.
starting
Yeah.
to make some revenue and profits from that revenue. So I'd like to be able to, reap the fruits of that without spending it all on the tech build. But I do realize some of it will have to be reinvested, but I'm trying to minimize how much of revenue and profits we have to reinvest for this. And also minimize the amount of additional money or capital I need to ask the partners to put in, although they're willing to do it. But what
Okay.
exactly does your company offer? Maybe I'm not clear on that. Maybe that would help. And are there other companies
Yeah.
on here who want to ask questions? 'Cause I don't want to take
So-
up all the time either.
It's okay. We do have William, and William, you still with us? Are you gaining things from this?
Well, yes, I am. I'm kind of coming late into this, so I wasn't expecting to be here. So I'm just kind of listening right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll have some questions and we'll
Oh,
dive into
sure,
those.
sure, definitely.
Okay. Sounds good. Also, my co-founder jumped in. Paul's here also. Paul, if you wanted to introduce yourself. No. Are you
Yeah,
there?
so Paul Claxton here. Sorry, I'm not on video. I have low connectivity where I'm at, but yeah, glad to be here and with everyone. If you have any questions, kind of more so surrounding kind of like operations, like overall operations in terms of like venture capital or kind of, like go-to-market strategy, bootstrapping in terms of gaining early customers, early stage partnerships, advisors, recruitment, that type of stuff. That's my background. So I'm happy to give perspective there. But otherwise, enjoy the webinar.
Awesome. Okay, so let me explain what we do for you, Sherry. So we are an accelerator. So Startup ROI is an accelerator. It's a 13-month accelerator. We it's broken into 4 parts: idea validation. It's a tech accelerator, I should say. Idea validation, growth enablement, sales enablement, and scaling enablement. So are you familiar with an accelerator and what an accelerator does?
Yeah, it generally,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we basically try to fill gaps. That's what we do. We're all entrepreneurs. We all have other companies, but we try to fill gaps. So we have a curriculum for our accelerator, and then we bring on partners to fill gaps. We provide other services within our accelerator that fills gaps as well. I want to say, yes, you're a great fit if you're looking for growth, but I also don't want to push a growth need on you that you don't necessarily have. So if you don't have that, then we can provide other things for you that may not include you fully being a part of the accelerator until you're ready. So we also, if you are looking for a technical partner, I am able to help you with that. There is a cost though, but I am able to help you with that. And it sounds like revenue-based financing is something that may actually help you a bunch to reserve your cash flow. And we have partners for that as well. Venture capital, it sounds like you're a little over, just before I let Paul speak more to that, it sounds like you're already kind of bogged down with a lot of things in terms of growth, and raising capital takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So if that is, not something you're prepared for, it may not be the right route for you. But revenue-based financing could definitely help you retain that cash flow and be able to grow potentially at a steady rate. So would you like to hear more about revenue-based financing?
So is that just basically like more or less a bank loan, right? Based on the revenue that the business is producing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a loan, but I think if you already have a revenue base, I think it's a little bit better than getting a traditional loan. But Paul, would you like to say a little bit about that?
So so in terms of like traditional loans versus revenue base, is that correct?
Yes.
So I think, traditional loans, each one has their pros and cons, but, revenue-based finance is a pro for earlier stage startups. And you'll see a lot of revenue-based finance companies. That's really the market that they're catering to, because it's financing to help you grow, like as you scale, as you need more financial capacity while you're scaling in order to grow. That is what they're there for. So they kind of meet you where you're at from a revenue perspective, and then they provide you with that capital, and they have flexible finance options, whether they take a portion out at a deferred point in time, or they take it out monthly or quarterly, and so forth. So there's different programs, and I think more flexibility than you would see that kind of caters towards earlier stage companies than you would see with traditional bank loans. But traditional bank loans kind of are what they are. I mean, that model has been around for the last century easily. So there's no secrets about that. It's like, what's your credit score? What kind of assets or collateral do you have to pledge? And so forth. What's your revenue? Just the basic questions.
So if you do,
yeah.
you do need other collateral other than just the business revenue. You're gonna have to secure it with personal assets, right?
It depends. There's unsecured and there's secured. So
What's the source of this revenue-based financing? Like if it, okay, it's not a bank, so what is it? Not a bank, not a VC. What is it exactly?
you could call it venture debt.
Okay. So they don't take an ownership interest. They don't take an equity interest in the company like a VC, right?
Most don't. Two of the big ones, which we're actually partners with, are Clearco and Uncapped. Those are two of the big revenue financing vehicles out on the market, but there's a bunch of them. But yeah, with revenue based, we can send you a flyer on this.
All
that
right, that
explains-
might be interesting just to take
That's
a look at it.
probably-
And what kind of interest do we look at with that? Like how much interest do you pay on that?
So let's address the flyer on that because I don't want to take up the whole webinar.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
by
That's
by
fine.
going into details, but it would be best if we give that to you in a flyer and then maybe in a separate call.
Okay, that sounds like the best option for me, I think. So yeah.
Okay.
What were my other questions?
Well, I actually just shared the link that you may want to click on for gaining some info there.
Okay.
Okay. And let me look at your other questions. So you asked, how do I find resources for scaling technology and human resources? Is that still a need of yours?
Well, probably not, because I guess since I asked that question, I brought on these colleagues as freelancers to help me organize stuff. And then the technology, we just sent our RFP out this week. So, and just had a webinar today to address any questions. So I think we're good. I got a lot of
Okay.
referrals for technology resources. So I'm good on that. That's
Awesome.
good. I actually made progress on the questions I asked. That's good.
Yeah, look at that. Okay, your next question was, how can I formulate about my value proposition so that I can secure more client MSAs from the large players in my industry? It sounds
Yep.
like you received 100 of them, but what?
Well, no,
still
no,
have
no.
to-
I haven't yet received 100. We haven't implemented that, but the supplier the supplier consolidation and tail spend aggregation value props are actually brand new value propositions that probably have come up since I wrote these questions. Because when did I think I wrote to you like over a month ago, right?
It was on May 8th.
Yeah, so it was, I think, well, right after, it was probably right after I came back from my industry conference when I discovered all this. So that was, yeah, it's really been working well. So I think I'm good on that one. I answered my own
Okay.
question.
Yeah. Okay. And your third question was, how can I generate more income for myself as I'm scaling the business? Is that still a
Right.
question?
Well, that's the part of how am I going to fund this tech build and still be able to maybe preserve some of the revenues and profits that we're getting so I can get a distribution and not reinvest all the profits into the tech build. So it sounds like Paul's suggestion of the revenue-based financing potentially is maybe part of the solution. But of course, I mean, my partners are willing to invest to cover this. So it was just, presenting possibly another option if they didn't really want to lay out whatever this is going to cost, themselves. I wanted to have some other options available to discuss with them if they were interested and if it made sense for us as a business. So that's probably the only
Right.
outstanding question, but I think you've answered it. So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
happy to listen to William's questions unless he wants a more private session. I can leave.
No, don't leave. Stay on.
Okay.
Stay on. We can
I'm
say
just
some-
kind of listening. I'm just kind of listening in. Like I said, I wasn't aware of this meeting except for a few minutes before, so I'm kind of coming in late, so I wasn't really ready. So I'm just kind of listening, so I'm getting good information.
Okay, you received my email. Is that what happened?
Yeah, no, I did. I appreciate you looking at my deck. it's something I created years ago, and then life kind of got busy, and it's been bugging me that it's been sitting there for so long. So I appreciate you going over it. But this has only been the last maybe 4 days that I've kind of picked it back up and really want to get back into it. And my biggest issue for me is funding to get it off the ground. But as you could see, that's, you know, quite, there's it's involved. It reaches a few different markets. And right now I'm just trying to put out the feelers and kind of see what's out there, what my options are.
William,
Let's
what is
see.
your business?
Oh, I was just going to ask that.
Oh.
It's interesting. It's well, personally, I do graphics. I've worked in the NFL. I used to do visual effects for TV and film. I've been doing it forever, but I've done some apps in the past. I've done it with the NFL, and I've done some other ones. But this one, I was in the hospital for a few months, and I was bored. I had nothing to do but sit there and, you know, heal my legs because I had a broken leg. Anyway, I came up with this idea, and ultimately it's called Salute Social, which is a mobile social app, which is based around trivia. But the goal is for people to set a timer from maybe it's, you know, the 2nd until the 15th, and they play that game over the course of that time. At the end of the game, the players end up meeting at a brick and mortar pub or place for drinks. And that would be ultimately sponsored by pubs and brands. And it kind of works in a different tiered system where it kind of approaches the entire supply chain. But ultimately, it's a way to bring people together socially, if they know them or don't. Say you're new in town and just moved somewhere, it's a good way to meet people. So it's kind of like a combination between Quiz Up and a dating app and you know, all kinds of different things. So I haven't gone towards investors yet because I had to sit it down for a while. And now I'm just kind of diving back in. So the people I've shown it to, pubs and breweries and that kind of stuff, and they really like it. They definitely see its value, but you know, it's just kind of me at this point. So I'm just trying to figure out where to go with it.
Okay. Well, I do want to let Paul speak to the funding aspect, but is the pitch deck, and also kudos for not giving up. You set it down, you picked it back up.
Well, you got it.
Yeah.
It's still so valid, and there's nothing like it out there. There's things that are out there, but this is just different. And it's been itching at me, so I just picked it back up. I'm going through it again and made some changes, obviously, but I'm like, boy, it's still on target. So
Yeah. Have you considered maybe starting to create your first prototype?
yeah, well, I
for it?
did one. Like I said, I don't know if you saw some of the videos that I had embedded in there, but I mean, that's several years ago, and I built an MVP, but it was in a different software, and I can't find it to save my life. So I know Figma, so I'm going to rebuild it myself because I do this professionally anyway. So like I said, I'm just picking it back up. So I'm going to build that back out here coming soon. But then, you know, there's always a million obstacles between, you know, who's got enough time today to call all these people, let alone look for money, let alone whatever. And it's like, so it's like, I feel like a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest.
That is the funniest expression.
You know, so it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Including trying to pay your bills, you know, also. So
definitely. I think you're preaching to the choir. We're all entrepreneurs, probably walking around with 3 heads. And so it's rewarding. It is a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights, but you're in good company. You won't be by yourself.
You know what I'm going through, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. The expression, I don't know how a one-legged bucket thing works, but probably that. I probably get it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's so valid, and I really like it so much. And it's just like, well, now what? You know, so you're just like spinning in a circle going, well, how much time do I have today? It's like, so I just think it's a matter of meeting the right partners. I've reached out to a group yesterday and they have just bought up a couple apps. I don't know how to go about with meeting with them, if it's if an NDA will protect me or not, but they would be an incredible partner. But I don't have the funds to pull it off, but it certainly will meet their market. It will fit into their portfolio so perfectly. And I just really discovered them late last night, and it'd be an amazing opportunity. But then, how do you start that conversation?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I don't want to miss your funding question. I do want
Yeah.
Paul to be able to speak to that. But how do you start a partnership conversation? Just first tip is alignment. So don't go in talking about what you need, ask them what they need, and let them start to talk about that. And if you can align on their objectives, the things that they're actually excited about, and then bring in the things you're excited about, which is your baby, then then it'll make that partnership a lot more fruitful for you. So if you think it's a perfect fit, figure out where it fits and then try and lean into that.
Right.
That'd be my advice. But let's go back to your funding question. Paul, did you want to speak to that? You there, Paul?
Sorry, audio difficulties. So let's readdress the question. Can you present the question to me again so I know exactly?
Well, I like I said, I'm just kind of reaching out lately, and I got an offer from another company that they offered me a loan as well, and that's what sounds like. But you guys are, it's kind of the same, and I'm not necessarily looking for more debt. I'm looking more for a partnership, someone who was
Sure.
So, I don't want to dig my hole any deeper than I have to.
Yeah. Well,
so that's why I think that's why partnership is most important to me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's easier to acquire than to build it yourself, right? And so, if you can find, if your IP is that substantial, if what you've built is that substantial and game changing, maybe you could find a partner willing to buy part of your IP, for an investment to kind of kickstart, and advance what you're doing. That could be one way to do it. I haven't taken a look at your IP or your product or anything, so I wouldn't know. But could be one thing if you're looking more towards a partnership type model.
What the hardest thing is trying to get a hold of anybody. It's like you don't want to just send them a message nowhere, on LinkedIn or whatever. It comes across as spam, in my opinion. So
yeah, it never works really.
No, it doesn't. So it's like connecting with the right people is always the biggest hurdle.
Well, I mean, if you are going to send cold emails and on LinkedIn, well, I wouldn't recommend like cold emails, like email marketing, but if you're going to send cold emails, say, or messages rather, on LinkedIn, it would do you a good job to have your profile very built up and credible. So I don't if you go to my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see it's very, very built up. I've worked on that profile for years, my personal brand. So, when people, if I do send a cold message to somebody on LinkedIn, it ups my chance of them responding and actually saying, oh, this is a person I should respond to, would be worth responding to. But I say cold messaging on LinkedIn because yes, they don't know you, but they see a face. And so there's some connection there. But with cold email, it's just goes right in the delete box. I mean, most people have multiple email addresses. I have 15 email addresses. So I don't have time to read spam, people from people that I don't know. I don't even know how to get my stuff. So those are my thoughts. build up your personal brand. I mean, that will help, so people buy you first, right? And so that'll help in terms of the partner thing, and it'll kind of help attract people to you. So push-pull marketing, it'll kind of pull people into you versus you having to push at it all the time. Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just time consuming and gets frustrating because, it's just like if I receive something out of the blue, it's like, what's this? So I understand, what they're doing. So just meeting with the right people is really the project to build it. For me, that's the easy part. Marketing, that's the easy part. Getting connected with the right people, that's a whole different story.
You really are
Yeah.
a good fit for
Just
our
gonna-
accelerator.
I'm just going to add, before Zoom kicks me out again, I don't know what is going on tonight, if it's my Wi-Fi or the app, but I keep getting kicked out. But just on that subject, William, as well, nothing beats networking. For example, you're on this call networking with us. We could know someone that is a great partner for you. Networking has a domino effect, but if you're very specific about, to be effective with your time as well, so you have to be aware that you only have X amount of time per day. Utilize that time really effectively and sort of research the types of communities, the types of networking communities that may or may not have your ideal target in them, but everybody knows someone. I'm in tech talent, for example. I used to be a choreographer, and I also used to work in digital marketing and travel. So my network is varied, it's wide. But you could hop on a call with me and I might not be your ideal target, but I could have worked with someone or been on a call with someone, and it'll trigger my memory and sort of go, hey, William, I've spoken to you now. This is now a warm connection, it's not a cold one. So that person would actually respect my opinion on William's product. So, a lot of people don't value networking as much as they should because it is time consuming. And sometimes you're thinking, oh, I have to have my elevator pitch perfect and all the rest. The best networking is that there's no pitching involved at all. There was one that I'd heard, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the usual is, you'll tell your 3-minute piece of who you are and what you deliver, your problem and your solution. But they actually re-engineered this networking. I must remember the name of it and send it to you. So you get on the call and you ask 3 questions. You just choose 3 people from the actual call and say, I want to ask you 3 questions. So it's all about them as well. So it's again very genuine networking. So if I was you, if I wasn't going to do anything else, I would, every day, for example, one networking that you hop on, create those valuable relationships, which then everybody has first, second, and third on LinkedIn, for example. It's the same in life. So I would definitely focus on networking a lot as well. But yeah, you're right. He's perfect fit for our accelerator as well, because we address everything that you need as well. You've got the technical side kind of down. You just need the strategic partnerships, and figure out the funding. But as we say as well, your customers are your investors and your investors are your customers. So first things first, get that revenue and, strategically partner you with someone. Like between the 4 of us on here, for example, we all have different wide networks between us all. Paul's one of the most connected people I've ever met, but through him, I'm now quite connected as well. So thanks for that, Paul. But, so it has a domino effect, one leads to the other. I finally got to talk without being kicked off. Happy days.
I like your accent.
Oh, thank you. People forget when they see my LinkedIn and they see New York, and then I hop on a call and they're like, huh, that's not a New York accent. I'm a wee leprechaun
That's nice.
that doesn't drink Guinness.
Yeah, it gets frustrating because, like I said, I've done creative for 25 years. So executing my project, my platform, that's what I do professionally. So I know how to do all that. I'm going to need the end developer, which I've got some connections because I've done these in the past. But I'm trying to build a partnership and then bring in those developers. But then I'm kind of looking for the full package, and I'm willing to give up a solid chunk of equity to allow me to accomplish it, because at the end of the day, it is my baby. And I'd rather, what's the saying, percentage of a grape and a watermelon. So, I'm willing to give up the equity to execute this, because it's been sitting there for years now. And I just want to make it happen. And
Every time you use an analogy, I feel like I'm on a Western. You're good. You have a catalog of them.
yeah. But yeah, it's for me, it's about just getting it done. I want to see it out there, and I want to see it succeed. I'm not trying to hold on to 90%. I mean, I'd be willing to give away a solid chunk if that partnership could help me take this across the line. So it's kind of where I'm at. And the networking part, you send out X amount of messages and you might get one reply. I get them all the time and I don't reply. So I understand why it happens. So that's just, you hit that brick wall and you're like, well, I'm just kind of spinning. So it's frustrating.
I think just based on where you are, you have your pitch deck. You don't have your prototype just yet, but you have a design skill set.
No, I've got the wireframe all built out. I don't have the original just in mind. I'm sure I do. I just got to find it, but I'm going to rebuild it. But I've got this thing designed from start to finish. I don't think you saw them, but there's more videos down the road, because there's 7. It's a long go through, because there's 7 links within that PowerPoint. But once you go through the whole thing, I mean, this thing's really been designed from start to finish. It just hasn't been finally developed or funded.
Yeah, when you said Figma, I knew that you had the wireframes down.
Yeah.
I didn't even, people don't know about Figma if they're not, I can design a wireframe or, prototype. So I definitely knew you had that. But what I'd like for you to actually join us in our idea validation program, because I don't want you to give away your equity too early. I'd like to see you go from that design to maybe a no-code prototype, get some feedback, get some early customers, and then when you're ready to scale your product, trade out that equity for a technical co-founder.
Well, the interesting thing is, I just found this out last night, but there's several apps, and I've looked them all up. I've known about them for years, but one company bought all of them up. Well, they don't know about me yet, and it fits perfectly into that portfolio. I mean, and they've got all the marketing, they've got all the people, they've got every element, because like this reaches brands, retailers, wholesalers, people. They have all that accomplished across the board. So I just sent them messages. I mean, this is literally 2:00 in the morning last night, and I sent them a couple of LinkedIn messages. So I don't expect anything yet, but when I do talk to them, I'm not even sure, where to go with it from there. So, but it would save so much time, effort, cutthroat stuff, and really get me on the market, is going through them. But what are they going to ask for, and what are they going to, or are they just going to take my idea and do it? I did a long story short, years ago, I did an app back in the Flash days, and created this app for making pizza, and it was all animated and all this stuff. Well, I pitched it to Domino's. Long story short, they ripped me off. They quit returning my phone calls, and my buddy calls me up and he's like, "Are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Go to Domino's.com." And there it was. Never return my calls ever again. So I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, definitely. You want to know, I think you mentioned NDA before, but you definitely want to share an NDA with developers.
Yeah.
Definitely want to do that. But the thing is, the reason I'm mentioning our program, and I'm not a very salesy person. I don't push things on, like I'm not pushing our program on Sherry, because she's not needing growth. But I feel like yes, we could give you some advice today. And you could take that advice and it may work for you, but then you'll need more, right? What you really need is a structured environment where we can be there and do the journey with you at your stage. So I'm going to drop our link. I'm going to drop
Yeah,
our
please do.
link.
Yeah, I haven't even gone through all this stuff yet, so I'm very interested to hear more.
Yeah. So there's that. And I also dropped the link for everyone for both you and Sherry for our Slack channel, which is a community. It just helps to be around other entrepreneurs. But go ahead and check out our website.
I've got it open. Yeah, I've just haven't gone through the program yet. Now, is that a monthly fee or how does that work?
It is we have a pay-as-you-grow program, so it depends upon where you're at. So if some of our people pay the flat rate, they may be a little further ahead than you are. What you can do is actually pay for each of our 4 programs at a time, or you can pay for the entire program, put some down, and then pay monthly. So it really does depend. We're flexible to try and help you get what you need.
Yeah, let me definitely go through this.
Okay.
Good.
I see Sherry dropped off. I'll have to follow up with her again. But I can actually follow up with you. We can have a follow-up call after this if you like, just to answer more questions.
Why don't we, I definitely want to talk to you further. If we can, I've got actually something in 20 minutes. I'm going to reply to the questions you sent me, but I definitely like to stay in touch.
That sounds good. I am going to, I think I have the link open. One sec. So many links I'm sharing with you guys. I'll just drop my Calendly link in the chat and you can schedule another call.
Sounds
we can
great.
talk. But definitely go ahead and join our Slack group while you're on this call, because that is completely free and you need community.
Where do I do that at? I got the Calendly link.
It's above.
Okay.
It's above.
Yeah, I think she dropped it.
Above where?
It's 12:09.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I can send both of those to you anyway, William, on LinkedIn, the Slack. If you don't grab that link, I can send it to you.
Yeah, no, I've got it. No, it's great. Let me go through these things and I appreciate it.
And William, I'm gonna add one more thing. Just from a sales perspective, Paul touched on it. Super important to optimize your LinkedIn profile. If that's the path you're taking to introduce yourself, you'll just get higher conversion rates and connections and meaningful conversations if your LinkedIn profile is actually optimized. And LinkedIn Learning actually has a lot of that. We've had that, all the things. So it's one of those things. I think the saying goes, if you have an hour to chop down a tree, like spend 55 minutes sharpening your axe type of thing. I almost said sword.
I like that.
Yeah, spend that time to actually get your LinkedIn profile to a space where your personal brand speaks for itself when you're not in the room, because someone can see it and then forward you along. And if they don't feel like they should forward you along, it just dies there. And it's really the opportunity cost that we never know about. So I would mention that as well, but the Slack channel would be great too.
Awesome. Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're cutting it down with a butter knife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just sharpen it up and that way the opportunity cost will shrink a little bit. Yeah.
Good. Well, great.
Awesome.
One thing I should add that I didn't. So earlier I said, email marketing does not work, and
No,
it's true. It doesn't work, but it also does. And so I forgot to add in that email marketing does work if people know who you are already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if you already have a relationship.
If they're on your subscribed list and you have a, a group there, then certainly it works. But if you're just sending out emails, you're just wasting your time.
Exactly. So yeah, so you understand that. I didn't want to say that email marketing doesn't work, because it does. It just has to be the right steps taking place before you use that.
Yeah, it's like putting the cart before the horse. I mean, you got to build that
Yeah.
stuff up. It's like coming out of the gate. That's the hard part. Once you got that list, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, great. Thanks, guys.
Definitely. I have some new analogies to add to my my catalog. Everyone's is full of analogies. So,
Lovely to meet
but,
you, William. So hopefully we can follow up with you and you can utilize the free resources that are available to you for now. And then get to know us more as well. So feel free to ask any questions in that group as well.
No, I would love that. Yeah, I think this has a strong shot. It's just it's like you said earlier. It's the network, and that's what's needed.
Yeah. Just having the right eyeballs on what you provide. You know, you've got a great product there. I love the idea of, because it's gaming. There's lots of gaming things, for example, but I love the aspect that it's like, okay, so I'm online gaming with you, but now I can actually go and meet you in the pub as well. So it's a good icebreaker, as you said, in our messages. There's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, it's a blur between many things, but ultimately marketing is the the core of it. But the way it kind of works for everyone, and so, but telling that story over and over and over kind of gets a little monotonous. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's a story that you can tell naturally. So if you're if you can tell it at a bar, then
it could evolve so quickly, because many bars have trivia nights on their slow nights. Well, this creates it through the week, so this is working for everybody. So pubs and brands can create their own games, reach out to people to educate them about their brand or about the neighborhood or about whatever, and then coming out of COVID, it works perfectly. And then now you got AI coming through, so that's where all the games are going to be coming through. So it's a mesh of all these things. And I'm glad I didn't launch this right before COVID, because that would have been a problem. So, now is a good fit for it, I think. So
definitely. And I definitely like to see your pitch deck again. I don't know if I have it. I think maybe if you shared it, I don't know where it is.
I can
I
put
have
it.
it.
Oh, Kelly has
have
I'll-
so I can
I'll-
share it with Kara. Yeah.
I'll send 1 sec, sorry. I can find it. Yeah, I'd love any feedback you guys might have. It's actually long, and I understand that. And the first one is kind of the overview, but ultimately there's 7 different decks in there. One has just videos. They're all very short, and it gets a little repetitive, but each one's coming from the pub perspective, one's coming from the retailer, wholesaler, perspective, one's the people. There's different scenario videos, why people would do it. So like I said, I was in a hospital bed and I had some time on my hands back then. So I did my homework.
Definitely can tell. I'm glad you didn't give up on it.
Now, and then the very last deck will show you all the wireframes that's already done out. Yeah, and now, like I said, now I was just trying to get past the finish line and find the right network and make it work for everyone. That's my hope.
This is good looking, Paul. William, I'm looking at Paul. This is good looking. I just glanced at your deck Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I did all the illustrations. There's animations. So, I've been doing this stuff for years, but it's just, sometimes it's hard to get someone to read all. I mean, that deck is long, but you can go through it very fast. Like I said, it's repetitive, but getting someone to actually go through it, that's really the hardest thing. When they do, they love it. But getting someone to actually open it up, or if it's the right person, whatever. So that it's just, gets tricky.
I have a good, I think this is a good way to spend the last few minutes of our call. Cheryl, you haven't had the opportunity to say anything about his partner outreach. Do you have any comment on that?
So what I really like, and I literally glanced at your deck, but what I love is that you're speaking to the partners specifically, as opposed to doing the one general, which is what most people come to the table with. And then we leave it up to them to try to create the bridge. I think there are lots of partnerships that can completely work. And I think getting your story down, right? So as I'm listening to your story, understanding where this came from, I'm trying to visualize where this originally came from, right? So I know you had extra time, but where did this bubble up from to begin with? I'd be curious about that. And your why, because that's really what keeps us going is, like why, and why did this not go away? So.
To be honest, I feel like the older I've gotten, people have been less social. And certainly COVID happened and that leveled the whole thing. But I did this before COVID, and I was in the hospital bed for several months. And I don't know, it just seemed to make sense. But I was researching stuff at the time, but this covers social, it covers gaming, it covers marketing, it covers the different partners and all their interests in it. And for the people, it gets them together. But it allows you to connect with them all week long and then end up at a brick and mortar, brings classes together. So it could be friends, or it could be strangers, it could be whatever. It doesn't matter if you like beer, wine, or spirits. But at the end of the day, it just kind of all came together as one unit.
Yeah. And I just think your secret sauce is you're talking to each partner. What comes to mind, and I haven't heard you use the phrase a lot, is community-based app. Right now in our environment, community-based is just a big deal, whether you're talking Uber, Lyft, or any of the things, right? Where we review each other and, we kind of hold each other accountable to do the right things type thing. So, yeah.
What also kind of drives me nuts is, when you go to the airport or not the airport, but anywhere, everyone's all on their phones. Well, that's good if you're building an app, but the real goal is to actually bring people face to face. It's one thing we're playing a game on the phone, but yeah, we'll do that too. But the goal is let's actually be social.
Yeah, to have that end in mind goal to create more community as we come. I mean, you could even pitch it as we come out of COVID type thing, so to speak. I don't know if we're coming out of COVID. Just saying that for the record.
I would say if I never got it, luckily, but
yes.
But yeah, and then you're driving them to a pub that serves the sponsored's brand, so you see the whole 360, right?
I'm gonna say this just because it's on my mind. It's just energy, but there are shows that literally go into these restaurants, bars, etc., right, to review and repair and rejuvenate them. And they actually, as a partner, they bring in security systems. They bring in, and I don't know the proper names for these things, but let's even say music, right? Like jukebox, with 10,000 songs on it. It's something that they could actually support as well, like as a partner. So there's lots of ways. And I like that you've called them all out, studied them, took a deep dive and included it. And then you can parse your pitch deck out appropriately. So yeah, kudos to you.
I've talked to each one of them. I've got a couple friends in Chicago that own bars. So I was able to show them and I've talked to wholesalers, and they're like, yeah, this could actually fuel our whole network. People, everyone loves trivia. Everyone loves the Cubs in Chicago. So you do a whole Cubs series, and then you're all going to meet at, one of the Wrigley bars or whatever. So it's all in my head and all thought out. But now's the hard part.
Mm.
So, and the hard part's not building it. The hard part is like I said, meeting the right people to carry it through, so.
So one I know we're at time, but one more thing that I'll add, just as Cheryl was mentioning community-based marketing, or she mentioned community-based app, right?
Mhm.
But you have the opportunity for just this being a very socially shared app, and kind of letting that be the thing that actually grows what you're building. That there's something that people are tapping into now more so, just with the Web3 breakout and things like that. People are understanding that if you can get a crowd to grow something, then you can actually build something really great. So just that bar, that social aspect, I feel like you can really lean into that. And there are some few key marketing tactics and marketing steps that you can take pretty early on. I don't know who these partners are that you're speaking about, but if they have an audience, you can actually leverage their audience as well. So
Absolutely. It'd be a very organic growth once it's off the ground, because it all kind of connects. So it can grow organically pretty fast.
mm,
So
yeah,
it's
and
the first two steps. Once you're halfway up the stairs, here's another analogy, but the second half of the climb is the easy part. Getting the first two steps, you got to get your weight going. So
yeah.
it's all about momentum, and the first steps is a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I want to have a follow up with you. Want us to chat more. Want to
That'd be
see if
great.
I do still believe strongly that our idea validation program is a great fit for you. Just want to chat more about it. And yeah, when being a part of our program, we actually get to look at your everything. So it helps so much for us to kind of give you that, oh, well, here's this message that you're sending. Let's change it a little bit. Let's add this. Let's move this around. Let's tweak your messaging. Like Cheryl was saying, your why. If you can, it's the way that you say something. It's like poetry, right? The way
And
that you deliver it.
I'm not a great salesperson. I'm a creative. I'm not a salesperson. I can create anything. I can make it shiny and fun and or whatever. But face to face, like I hate even being on video chats. It drives me nuts. I'm not a salesperson. I sit down and create stuff. I don't,
The coolest part, sorry, Kara, the coolest part, William, is we're in an environment now where the salesperson analogy of yesterday is really gone. So it literally becomes, how can you really be the best founder for your business and the best developer, the best creative, and get your story across in like an optimal, emotionally triggering manner to where you're drawing people in. And it's not even like Kira was saying, like none of us are real salesy. It's just we see an opportunity and we'd like to continue conversation. And I think over the conversation, you'll see value. So it's really nice that it's not this idea of like, you got to get in now. It's the 31st of May. The price is going to go up tomorrow. Like that doesn't work anymore. So you're in a good space of not being that salesperson. You can just kind of grow your business acumen around how you present your story to them. So yeah.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys' time.
Definitely. definitely looking forward to continuing our conversation. And yeah, again, kudos, keep going. Even if you don't continue working with us, don't give up. And
I'm very
don't
interested.
don't let another domino take your idea.
No, I'm not doing that twice. That's an experience you only go through once. Hopefully. But anyway, well, let's stay in touch, and I'll definitely go through this stuff more, and definitely want to talk to you guys more.
Sounds good.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
William.
Thank
Nice
you.
to meet
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Nice
Thanks,
to meet you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.